The Viscari warship emerged from the darkness above Earth like a predatory leviathan, its obsidian hull reflecting nothing, absorbing all light. Commander Ilara Novak watched from the International Orbital Defense Platform as the alien vessel dwarfed her station, casting a shadow over humanity's first line of defense. "Threat assessment," she demanded, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. Lieutenant Caden Reed's fingers danced across the holographic interface. Unknown vessel, approximately 12 kilometers in length. Energy readings off the charts, Commander. Nothing like we've ever seen. Across the globe, similar scenes unfolded. 7 identical ships positioning themselves above major population centers. The long-theorized first contact was happening, but not with the peaceful exchange of knowledge humanity had hoped for. The Viscari made their intentions clear within hours. A worldwide broadcast overtook all communication channels. A being with iridescent scales and 6 piercing eyes spoke in perfectly translated speech. "Humans of Earth. We are the Viscari Dominion. Your planet occupies valuable space in our expansion corridor. Your resources are required. Your technology is primitive. Your resistance would be inconsequential. You have 48 Earth hours to surrender control of your governments and military assets. Compliance will result in the preservation of your species as a labor force. Resistance will result in your extinction." The United Nations Security Council convened an emergency session. General Rhodes Amanpour, head of Earth's Unified Defense Command, stood before the assembled leaders. "They're not bluffing," he said, projecting images of the Viscari ships deploying smaller vessels. "They've begun scanning our defenses, mapping our resources. They're preparing for conquest." Dr. Makena Okoro, Earth's leading xenobiologist, stepped forward. "We've analyzed their physiology from the broadcast. They evolved on a high-gravity world with a nitrogen-sulfur atmosphere. They consider themselves apex predators. Their society appears rigidly hierarchical." President Liwei Jiang of the Chinese-American Alliance raised her hand. "What are our options?" "Conventional weapons will be useless," General Amanpour replied. "But we have Project Ouroboros." The room fell silent. Project Ouroboros was humanity's darkest secret, a system of integrated quantum defense protocols developed after the resource wars. Theoretical, untested, and potentially catastrophic. "We reverse-engineered technology from the Tunguska artifact," explained Dr. Valen Kapoor, the project's lead scientist. "It's based on principles that could exploit weaknesses in the very fabric of space-time." "And risk tearing apart our own planet?" demanded Chancellor Abioye of the African Union. "The Viscari leave us no choice," President Zhang said softly. "If we surrender, our species becomes slaves. If we fight conventionally, we become extinct. As die." The leaders debated. Commander Novak received a priority alert. "We're detecting energy buildups in the Viscari vessels," she reported. "They're preparing weapon systems." In orbit, Ilara watched as the first Viscari strike vaporized a Chinese defense satellite. The aliens hadn't even waited for their own. "Deadline, they're testing us," she whispered. On Earth, the decision was made. Project Ouroboros would be activated. Humanity would not go quietly. As the first Viscari landing craft descended toward Tokyo, Hong Kong, and New Delhi, humanity's leaders sent a unified message to their people. Stand firm. What comes will test us as never before, but humanity has survived ice ages, plagues, and our own destructive tendencies. We will survive this. In a hardened facility beneath the Antarctic ice, Dr. Kapoor initiated the Ouroboros sequence. "Métis, whatever gods exist, forgive us," he murmured, as the quantum field generators hummed to life. The Viscari assault was methodical, precise, and overwhelming. Their landing craft deployed mechanized units that cut through conventional defenses like scythes through wheat. Paris fell in hours. Lagos burned. Sydney was evacuated as alien ground forces established beachheads along the coast. Beneath the Antarctic ice, Dr. Kapoor monitored the Ouroboros deployment. Phase 1 complete, he reported. Quantum field generators are online across all continents. The network is stable. Project Ouroboros wasn't a weapon in the conventional sense. It was a system designed to alter fundamental physical constants within localized fields. Within these fields, the laws of physics became malleable. Commander Novak, now coordinating the orbital response from a backup facility in the Himalayas, received the confirmation. Initiating Phase 2, she ordered. Deploy Ouroboros protocols to all military assets. Across the globe, human soldiers attached small devices to their weapons and armor, quantum field manipulators that allowed them to operate within the altered physics zones. The tide was about to turn. In Moscow's Red Square, Major Damira Volkov led a desperate stand against Viscari forces. Her unit was outgunned, outnumbered, and exhausted after 12 hours of constant fighting. Fall back to the Kremlin, she ordered. Defensive positions. As her troops retreated, her communications officer received the Ouroboros activation codes. Major, priority message from command. Activate your QFM devices. Authorization. Prometheus Rising. Volkov smiled grimly as she activated the small device on her tactical vest. Ouroboros is live. Let's show these aliens what humans are made of. The Viscari commander, Overlord Razix, watched the human retreat with contempt. These primitives were even weaker than intelligence had suggested. He ordered his troops forward, weapons primed to eliminate the remaining resistance. What happened next would be recorded in human history as the Red Square reversal. As the Viscari entered the square, Volkov activated the Ouroboros field. Ayo? Ripple of distortion spread across the battlefield. The alien weapons, designed to function under universal constants, suddenly fired with a fraction of their power. Their advanced armor, which manipulated gravitational fields, became dead weight. The humans, with their adapted equipment, moved with supernatural speed and precision. Volkov felt like she was moving through water while the Viscari seemed trapped in molasses. Her rifle's kinetic rounds, normally ineffective against Viscari armor, now tore through their protection as if it were paper. Similar scenes unfolded across the globe. In the scorched ruins of Nairobi, Colonel Jabari Kalu's forces reclaimed the city center. In the flooded streets of Bangkok, Captain Mecha Surin's guerrilla fighters emerged from hiding to decimate Viscari patrols. Aboard the Viscari command ship, Sovereign Zerak received the reports with increasing rage. Impossible! Their weapons should not harm our forces. Their defenses should not withstand our weapons. His science officer, Nexus Vexel, analyzed the readings. Sovereign, they've somehow altered the fundamental constants within localized fields. Our technology is based on immutable physical laws they've changed. Zerak's 6 eyes narrowed. No primitive species should possess such capability. Find the source of this disruption and destroy it. The Viscari response was swift and brutal. Orbital bombardment targeted suspected Ouroboros control centers. The Antarctic facility was hit first, burying Dr. Kapoor and his team under tons of ice. But Ouroboros had been designed to survive decapitation. The system was distributed, with redundant nodes across the planet. As one control center fell, another activated. The tide was turning, but at a terrible cost. Billions had died in Sanati. The initial assault. Entire cities lay in ruins. And now, the Viscari were adapting their tactics. In orbit, Commander Novak received a transmission from the Viscari flagship. A direct challenge from Sovereign Zerak himself. Your resistance is impressive, but futile. We will burn your world to ash before allowing such technology to threaten the Dominion. Novak's response was simple. Then we'll see you in hell. 3 weeks into the war, Earth had become a patchwork of devastation and resistance. The Viscari held territory on every continent, but their once inexorable advance had stalled against the Ouroboros-enhanced human forces. In what remained of the Pentagon, General Amanpour studied the holographic battle map. "They're adapting," he observed. "Their new weapons are designed to function within our altered physics zones." Dr. Ivana Orlova, who had taken leadership of Project Ouroboros after Kapoor's presumed death, nodded grimly. "They're brilliant engineers. They've analyzed our quantum field manipulations and are developing countermeasures." "Then we need to evolve faster," said Admiral Ryota Takahashi of the Pacific Alliance. "The Ouroboros protocols were just the beginning. What else do we have?" "Project Chimera," Dr. Orlova replied. "Kapoor's theoretical next phase, the integration of Viscari technology with our own. For this, they needed samples, intact Viscari technology, and for that, they needed a capture team. In the ruins of Mumbai, Commander Zara Reza led a multinational special forces unit with a singular mission: capture a Viscari officer and their equipment. Her team included specialists from 6 nations, each chosen for specific skills. "Target approaching," whispered Malik, their scout. "Viscari officer class, 4 guards. They're investigating the Ouroboros node we activated as bait," Reza signaled. Her team. "Remember, we need the officer alive and their tech intact. EMP first, then targeted strikes." The ambush was flawless. The EMP disabled the Viscari's communication devices. The team's Ouroboros-enhanced weapons took down the guards with surgical precision. Before the officer could activate their self-destruct implant, Reza's neural disruptor rendered them unconscious. "Package secured," she reported. "Extracting to Chimera base." Similar operations occurred worldwide. Within days, humanity had acquired enough Viscari technology to begin the next phase of their resistance. At Chimera base, buried deep beneath the Ural Mountains, Dr. Orlova supervised the integration process. "Their technology is quantum-based like Ouroboros, but more sophisticated," she explained to the military leaders. "They use dimensional folding for their energy weapons, gravitational manipulation for propulsion." "Can we replicate it?" asked General Amanpour. "Better," replied Orlova. "We can improve it. Their systems are optimized for their native physics. We're adapting them to work with our Ouroboros fields." The first Chimera weapons were deployed to frontline units a week later. In the Amazon Defense Zone, Lieutenant Nima Sherpa's platoon became the first to field test the hybrid technology. "Target their command vehicle," Sherpa ordered, as her team faced a Viscari assault force. "Let's see what this new toy can do." The Chimera rifle hummed with energy as she fired. The beam cut through the Viscari's adapted shields and pierced their command vehicle's armor. The resulting explosion leveled a square kilometer of jungle. "Holy shit," breathed her sergeant. "Command, request immediate tactical analysis of Chimera weapon effectiveness. It's beyond expectations." In orbit, Commander Novak watched as the balance shifted again. Human forces armed with Chimera weapons began pushing back Viscari occupation zones. The aliens responded with increased orbital bombardment, but Earth's defense, platforms now equipped with hybrid shield technology, withstood the assault. "They're calling for reinforcements," Novak informed Earth's leadership. "Our deep space arrays have detected quantum communications to their home systems." "How long do we have?" asked President Zhang. "Months, maybe less," Novak replied. "We need to take the fight to them before their fleet arrives." The captured Viscari officer, now conscious and secured in a containment field, watched the humans with a mixture of hatred and growing respect. "You cannot win," it hissed in its translated voice. "The Dominion spans galaxies. Your world is but one of thousands we will conquer." Dr. Orlova studied the alien. "But we're the first to fight back effectively, aren't we? That's why your sovereign is so determined to crush us. We're not just a threat. We're an anomaly. The Viscari's silence was confirmation enough. Then we'll have to become more than an anomaly, said Admiral Takahashi. We need to become a legend. 4 months after first contact, humanity launched its counteroffensive. Operation Starward Assault began with a daring raid on the Viscari flagship orbiting Earth. Commander Novak led the assault team personally. "Remember your training," she told her strike force as their stealth craft approached the massive alien vessel. "We're not here to fight. We're here to steal." The team's objective was the Viscari's dimensional fold drive, the technology that allowed their massive ships to traverse interstellar distances. With it, humanity could take the fight to Viscari space before their reinforcements arrived. The sea. Boarding action was swift and brutal. Chimera-enhanced soldiers cut through the Viscari defenses, Ouroboros fields disrupting the aliens' internal security systems. Novak's team reached the engineering section with minimal casualties, initiating extraction, reported Lieutenant Caden Reed, now her second in command. Drive core schematics downloading, 60%, 80% complete. We have what we need. As they fought their way back to their extraction point, Novak came face-to-face with Sovereign Tsarak himself. The Viscari leader was imposing, nearly 3 meters tall, with ceremonial armor and 6 eyes that burned with hatred. "You think you've won something here, human?" he snarled. "You've merely hastened your extinction." Novak didn't waste time with words. She activated her chimera weapon and fired. The blast should have vaporized the alien leader, but Tsarak's personal shield absorbed the impact. "Impressive," he admitted, before countering with his own weapon. The duel was brief, but vicious. Novak's enhanced reflexes barely kept her alive, as Tsarak's attacks shattered pillars and melted bulkheads around them. A glancing blow caught her left arm, searing through her armor. "Commander," Reed called out, providing covering fire. "Extraction is now or never." With a final surge of effort, Novak deployed an experimental Ouroboros grenade. The localized field distortion created a momentary rift in space-time, enough to knock Tsarak off balance and allow her team to escape. "This isn't over," the Sovereign called after them. "The Dominion will burn your world to ash." Back on Earth, Dr. Orlova's team worked feverishly to incorporate the stolen Viscari technology into humanity's growing arsenal. The dimensional fold drive would be adapted for Earth's first true interstellar warship, the EDS Retribution. Constructed in a hidden facility on Mars, the Retribution represented the pinnacle of human Viscari hybrid technology. Its hull was forged from nanomaterials that could adapt to energy attacks. Its weapon systems incorporated Ouroboros field generators that could disrupt enemy shields, and at its heart lay the adapted fold drive, capable of carrying the fight to the Viscari homeworld. "It's not perfect," Dr. Orlova admitted to the assembled military leadership. "The fold drive is designed for Viscari physiology. Human pilots will experience difficult side effects." "What kind of side effects?" asked General Amanpour. "Temporal dissonance, possible molecular destabilization. In layman's terms, it might kill them." Despite the risks, volunteers flooded in. The crew of the Retribution would be humanity's first interstellar warriors, and possibly its last hope. Commander Novak, her arm still healing in a regeneration sleeve, was appointed captain. "This is a one-way mission," she told her crew during their final briefing on Mars. "Our objective is to strike at the heart of the Viscari Dominion, to show them that attacking Earth was the worst mistake they ever made." The Retribution launched under cover of a massive Earth offensive. As humanity's combined forces engaged, the Viscari fleet in orbit, the experimental warship slipped away, its fold drive engaging as it passed Jupiter's orbit. The journey was nightmarish. The crew experienced time differently. Seconds stretching into what felt like days, moments of excruciating pain followed by euphoric clarity. 3 crew members didn't survive the transition. When they emerged from fold space, they found themselves in orbit around Viscera Prime, the heart of the Dominion. The homeworld was a fortress, surrounded by defense platforms and warships. "They're not expecting us," said Reed, monitoring the sensor data. "Their defenses are oriented outward, not inward." Novak nodded grimly. "Then let's make our visit memorable. Deploy the Ouroboros Prime package." The package was humanity's most devastating weapon, a device that would establish a permanent Ouroboros field around Viscera Prime, rendering most of their technology useless. Not a weapon of destruction, but of neutralization. "For Earth," Novak whispered, as she gave the order to fire. The Ouroboros Prime device detonated in Viscera Prime's upper atmosphere, creating a cascading quantum field that enveloped the planet. The effect was immediate and catastrophic for the Viscari. Their advanced systems, dependent on specific physical constants, began to fail. Defense platforms fell from orbit. Warships lost power. The planetary shield grid collapsed. On the Retribution's bridge, Novak watched the chaos unfold. "Begin Phase 2, she ordered. "Deploy the message drones." Hundreds of small probes launched from the human vessel, descending through the disabled. Defenses to blanket Viscera Prime with a transmission. A message from humanity to the Dominion's leadership. "People of Viscera," began the broadcast, delivered in the Viscari language. "We are humanity. You came to our world uninvited, with demands of surrender. You killed billions of our people. You thought us weak. You were wrong." The message continued, detailing humanity's resolve and the consequences of continued aggression. It ended with an ultimatum. "Withdraw your forces from Earth, or we will deploy Ouroboros fields on every Viscari world. Your choice, peace or technological apocalypse." Response came swiftly. A transmission from the Dominion's High Council, a group of ancient Viscari who outranked even sovereign Serac. "This is unprecedented," said Councillor Vazix, the eldest member. "No species has ever struck at the heart of the Dominion. No species has ever neutralized our technological advantage." "We offer terms," Novak replied. "Complete withdrawal from Earth space. Reparations for the damage caused. A non-aggression pact." The negotiations were tense, but the humans held the upper hand. With the Ouroboros field in place, the Viscari homeworld was vulnerable in a way it had never been before. Meanwhile, on Earth, the tide had turned dramatically. With the Viscari command structure in disarray after losing contact with their homeworld, human forces had retaken key territories. The Chimera weapons had proven devastatingly effective against the increasingly disorganized alien forces. For Commander Zara Reza and her team, now operating in the ruins of what had once been Johannesburg, the change was palpable. "They're retreating," she reported to command. "Not tactical withdrawals, full-scale retreat to their landing ships." In orbit, Admiral Takahashi's fleet engaged the remaining Viscari warships. "They're not fighting with the same coordination," he noted. "It's almost as if they've lost their tactical hierarchy." The truth was revealed when Dr. Orlova finally decrypted more of the Viscari biological data. "They're a hive-minded species," she explained. "Not completely collective like insects, but hierarchical, with stronger psychic links to their leadership. By disrupting their connection to the Dominion leadership, we've fragmented their command structure." As negotiations continued on Viscera Prime, Novak learned more about the species they'd been fighting. The Viscari Dominion had expanded unchecked for millennia, conquering thousands of worlds. Never had they encountered a species that could adapt so quickly, that could turn their own technology against them. "You must understand," explained Councillor Vazix during a private meeting, "we believed ourselves to be the apex species of the galaxy. Your existence, your resistance, challenges the foundation of our society. Perhaps it's time for that foundation to evolve," Novak suggested. "Expansion through cooperation rather than conquest." The counselor's 6 eyes blinked in what Novak had come to recognize as thoughtful consideration. "Perhaps. But change comes slowly to a species as old as ours. After 7 days of negotiations, an agreement was reached. The Viscari would withdraw from Earth space immediately. They would provide reparations in the form of technological knowledge, and most significantly, they would recognize humanity as an equal species with sovereign rights to their solar system. As a gesture of good faith, Novak deactivated the Ouroboros Prime device. The quantum field began to dissipate, restoring normal physics to Viscara Prime. "Consider this the beginning of a new relationship," she told the council. "Not conqueror and conquered, but equals." As the Retribution prepared to return to Earth, Novak received a final transmission from Counselor Vazix. "Commander, you should know, Sovereign Zerak has been removed from command. His failure to subjugate your world has cost him his position." "And who rules in his place?" Novak asked. "I do," replied Vazix. "And my first act is to honor our agreement. The Viscari Dominion will remember the lesson humanity has taught us." 1. Year after the Viscari withdrawal, Earth was healing. The scars of war remained visible, ruined cities being rebuilt, memorial gardens where millions had perished, orbiting debris from destroyed vessels. But humanity had not merely survived. It had emerged transformed. The integration of Viscari technology had accelerated human development by centuries. The dimensional fold drive had opened the solar system to rapid exploration and colonization. Mars now hosted a population of millions in sprawling dome cities. The moons of Jupiter and Saturn had become mining outposts and research stations. Commander Ilara Novak, now Admiral and Earth's representative to the newly formed Galactic Concord, stood on the observation deck of the diplomatic station orbiting Venus. The massive structure served as neutral ground for humanity's growing interstellar relations. "The Atraxians have arrived," announced her aide, Lieutenant Commander Reed. "Their delegation seems nervous." Novak smiled slightly. "Wouldn't you be? They've heard the stories. The Atraxians were the third alien species to initiate contact with humanity since the Viscari War. Like the others, they approached with caution and respect, a far cry from the imperious demands of first contact. Word had spread quickly through the interstellar community. Humanity had done the impossible. They had defeated the Viscari Dominion, a feat no other species had accomplished in 10,000 years of the Dominion's expansion. More importantly, humanity had forced a paradigm shift in galactic politics. The Dominion's policy of conquest had been replaced by Counselor Vazix's doctrine of cooperative expansion. The Galactic Concord, a coalition of species including humans, Viscari, and a dozen other formerly subjugated races, now governed disputes between worlds. On Earth, in the rebuilt United Nations headquarters in Geneva, Dr. Ivana Orlova presented her latest findings to the Global Science Council. "The integration of Viscari quantum mechanics with our Ouroboros principles has opened new frontiers in physics," she explained, displaying complex equations that would have been incomprehensible 2 years earlier. "We're not just adapting their technology anymore. We're creating entirely new branches of science." In Mumbai, now a showcase of human Viscari collaborative architecture, Commander Zara Reza trained the next generation of special forces. The Chimera Corps, as they were now known, combined enhanced human abilities with integrated alien technology. "Remember," she told her cadets as they sparred using controlled Ouroboros fields, "our strength isn't just in our weapons or our technology, it's in our adaptability. When the Viscari attacked, they expected us to fall. Instead, we evolved." In Antarctica, at the memorial built over the ruins of the original Ouroboros facility, General Amanpour and Admiral Takahashi attended the annual remembrance ceremony. Dr. Kapoor's body had never been recovered, but his contribution to humanity's survival was honored with a monument of black stone and pulsing quantum light. "Do you ever think about how close we came to extinction?" Takahashi asked quietly. Amanpour nodded. "Every day. But I also think about what we've become. Before the war, we were divided, fighting over resources, trapped on one world. Now look at us." He gestured to the sky, where the lights of orbital habitats and departing starships were visible even in the daylight. "We've united. We've expanded. We've taken our place among the stars. In orbit around Viscara Prime, Counselor, now Supreme Leader, Vazix watched a simulation of the expanding human presence in space. In just 1 year, they had established outposts in 3 star systems beyond their own. They move quickly, observed his advisor. Some in the military still consider them a threat. "They are a threat," replied Vazix, "but also an opportunity. For too long the Dominion expanded through conquest. We stagnated. These humans, they innovate, they adapt, they transform." He dismissed the simulation with a gesture. "Monitor them, yes, but also learn from them. The future belongs not to those who conquer, but to those who evolve." Back on the Venus diplomatic station, Admiral Novak greeted the Atraxian delegation. The insectoid aliens performed their species' gesture of profound respect, a posture previously reserved only for the Viscari. "We have heard the stories," said the Atraxian ambassador, "of how humanity stood against the Dominion, of how you transformed their weapons into your salvation. We wish to learn, to trade, to ally." Novak extended her hand in the human gesture of friendship. "Then let us begin as equals, not as conquerors and conquered, but as partners in exploration." As the diplomatic talks proceeded, Novak took a moment to step aside and gaze at the planet below. Venus was already showing signs of the massive terraforming project humanity had begun, with Viscari assistance. In a century, it would be a second Earth. She thought about the billions who had died in those first terrible days of the invasion. Their sacrifice had not been in vain. Humanity had not merely survived, it had transcended its former limitations. It had claimed its place in the galaxy, and the galaxy would never be the same. In the vast chamber of the Galactic Concord's newly constructed headquarters on a neutral world at the borders of former Dominion space, representatives of 27 species gathered to ratify the Interstellar Charter of Rights. At its core was a principle that had emerged from humanity's unlikely victory. No species has the right to subjugate another. Advancement comes not through conquest, but through cooperation and mutual respect. The human representative, Dr. McKenna, Okoro, once a xenobiologist studying the Viscari, now Earth's diplomatic voice, placed her signature alongside those of former enemies and new allies. "To the future," she said, raising a glass in the human tradition of toast. "To peace through strength, progress through diversity, and wisdom through adversity." The representatives of 27 worlds raised their various drinking vessels in response. "To humanity," added Supreme Leader Vazix, in a gesture that shocked the assembly. "Who taught even the mighty Viscari that dominance is not the path to greatness?" As the ceremony concluded, a message reached Earth from the farthest human outpost, a scientific station at the edge of explored space. The team there had discovered something remarkable, evidence of ancient ruins predating even the Viscari civilization. Ruins containing technology based on principles similar to the Ouroboros protocols. Perhaps humanity's greatest achievement had not been inventing the quantum field manipulation that had saved them, but rediscovering what had been lost to time. Perhaps their destiny was not just to survive, but to restore knowledge long forgotten to a galaxy that had forgotten its past. Humanity's story was just beginning, and it would be legendary.